In this session, you will learn about how to host a static website on AWS. We will be covering 3 services. 1. Amazon S3 to store your static website content. 2. How to register a new domain name using Route 53. And 3. Learn about CloudFront, a service that you can use to deliver the content of your website globally with low latency. My name is Aubrey and I'm an account manager at AWS. Throughout this session, you will be able to ask any questions you have. Please take a moment to have a look at the Q&A pane in the console where you will be able to write your questions and we will answer your questions after this session. Let's take a quick look at the services we will use in this demonstration, and this is not going to be a deep dive session for each service. I'm only going to give you a general features and you will learn more about the services as you get more experience or play with it more. For the first service, let's talk about Amazon S3. To store your website content, we will use Amazon S3, which stands for Simple Storage Solution. S3 is one of the first services produced by AWS. S3 is an object storage with a simple web interface to store and retrieve data from anywhere on the web, which means you can manage the service by simply logging into the AWS console. You can store data in any format. For example, your website content, you can store HTML pages, CSS files, images, videos, text files, and JavaScript files. And each object size in S3 can range from 0 bytes to 5 terabytes. There are many benefits of using S3. It is durable, highly available, secure, scalable, and low cost. For durability, Amazon S3 storage is designed to provide 99.119% of durability and 99.99% for availability. For durability, if you store 10 million objects with Amazon S3, you can on average expect to incur a loss of a single object once every 10,000 years. For availability, your data will be protected against any network or hardware failures, so you can count on your data or website content being up all the time. For security, Amazon S3 is secure and resources are private by default, which means that only the resource owner can access the data. In the console management, you can set permissions and create policies that allows read and write access to a specific bucket and object. Make sure that you configure the buckets and objects permission correctly to meet your requirements. You can restrict access to your resources by configuring the IAM policy, bucket policy, and access control list. S3 is scalable and low cost. With S3, customers only pay for what they use and can store unlimited amount of data. We charge less where our costs are less, and prices are based on the location of your Amazon S3 bucket. Now that we understand a little bit more about S3, let's take a look on how you can use S3 to host your static website. Just a quick reminder, to participate in this demo, you will need an AWS account to provision resources to host your website, a basic understanding of web technologies, and an existing static website that you can bring to host on AWS. Before I show you the demo, I'd like to introduce you to Unicorn. What we are going to do is help Unicorn host his existing static website on Amazon S3. Unicorn is starting a web development business. He wants to showcase his skills because he is looking to do more web development projects. Unicorn believes that by having an online presence, he can showcase his project so customers can understand what his skills are and capable of doing. Okay, so let's help Unicorn. All right, so you can see on my screen that I am signed into my AWS account, which I created prior to this demo. And I have here an existing website content, so you can see my CSS files, images, JavaScript files, and index.html file. Once you are logged into your AWS console, click on the services, On the top left, this will show you all the services offered by AWS. Let's find S3 from storage section, then click on it. Oh, by the way, you'll notice that my region is global because S3 is available in AWS regions worldwide, and you can use Amazon S3 regardless of your location. You just have to decide which AWS region you want to store your Amazon S3 data, which I will show you in a bit. To store your object or files in S3, first we need to create the bucket. Bucket is like a folder where you store your files or objects, and there is no limit to the amount of objects you want to store in a bucket. And by default, you can create up to 100 buckets in each of your AWS account. Just in case you need more additional buckets, you can increase your bucket limit by submitting a service limit increase to AWS support. So now let's create the bucket. Once you are in a Create Bucket page, enter your bucket name. Please remember that your bucket name must be unique globally. So across all existing bucket names in Amazon S3, you need to come up with a unique name. For example, let's try S3 demo. And you'll see that it'll give you a notification on the screen that this bucket name already exists. For bucket name, I will use www.quickstartdemo.com.au. Then you have to select the location or region where you want to store your data. In this demo, I will select Asia Pacific as a Sydney region. Then click Next. You will see on the screen that you can configure versioning, logging, and taggings. I don't need this at this demo, so I will move on to the next page by clicking Next. So this is the most important part of this demo. You need to grant public read access to the bucket. Let's select that option. So if your content inside the bucket for website hosting is not publicly available, the user who tries to access your website will get an XML error message saying the file or page is unavailable. So let's move forward by clicking Next. Then you can review the configuration or permission of your bucket. After reviewing it, you can create the bucket. There you go. Now you can see the bucket that I created. I can now upload my existing website content to S3. Have to select on the bucket name. And here's the upload button on the top left. I can add files or simply drag my files to the bucket. Let's do it now. So then I'll click Next. And as an owner of the bucket, I have read and write object permissions. So you must make all your content publicly readable. Then we'll click Next. On the properties page, you can select your storage classes or configure the encryption of your data. I will not do it in this demo, so let's click Next. Then you can review the page, then click Upload. So you can see that it's starting to upload. It might take a couple of seconds depending on the size of your files. Okay, the upload is finished. Click on the Properties tab. On this page, you can figure or learn more about versioning, encryption of objects, set up log records, and etc. etc. For this demo, we will only configure the static website hosting. Select Use this bucket to host a website. For the index document field, this is the name of your default page of the website or the home page. So I will type in index.html. If you have an error page or file, you can enter in the error document field. So for example, an internet user tries to access your website, it will display the error page when an error occurs. In this demo, I don't have an error page, so I will leave it blank. So let's click Save. And then click on the static web hosting section again. You can see that there is an endpoint here where you can check your website. So I will click on this link. There you go. Unicorn has a website on AWS to showcase his skills, experience, and so customers can contact him for any future projects. But Unicorn has another question. Unicorn wants to register a new domain to AWS, so when users visit his website, it will show his domain name, for example, www.quickstartdemo.com.au. So let's help Unicorn answer his question by first defining what Route 53 is, then we can show him what it looks like on the console. Amazon Route 53 provides highly available and scalable domain name system, domain name registration, and health checking web services. It is designed to give developers and businesses an extremely reliable and cost-effective way to route end users to internet applications. Route 53 is a DNS service of AWS. If you have a new domain, you can register or transfer to Amazon 53. Okay, so right now I am logged into my AWS console. So if you click on the services on the top left corner of the page, so right here, it'll show you the different services of AWS. Scroll down and look for Networking and Content Delivery section and select Route 53. Or you can simply type in the search box Route 53. Then it will direct you to the Route 53 page. As mentioned earlier, you can use Route 53 to register your new domain or transfer an existing one. So for this demo, I will show you quickly on how to register your domain and click on Get Started Now. Now we're on Route 53 dashboard where we can register a domain or transfer domain. If you have an existing domain that you register under a different registrar like GoDaddy or Crazy Domains, then you will use Transfer Domain. If you would like to learn more about transferring domain to Amazon Route 53, we will share a link with a step-by-step guide after this session, but in this demo, we will be registering a domain name. So I will select Register Domain. On this page, you can see the first step is to search for the availability of the domain. Pick your top-level domain or TLD. It could be .com, .net, .io. There's a lot here, .com.au, .uk. It really depends on you. Just keep in mind that the prices are different. So for example, for this demo, I will try route53demo.com. There you go, it's available. And you can see the domain suggestions below. Now, I'm going to click on Add to Cart. And you can see on the right-hand side, there is a drop down. If you want to register for more years, that option is available. So let's select 1 year for $12 and then click continue. And the next step is to put in the contact information. If the registrant, administrative, and technical contacts are all the same, select yes. If not, you have to put in the details individually for each contact. Then you just have to continue entering the details for contact type. If you are an individual or a business, then put in your first name, last name, email account, phone number, and address. I'm not going to fill in the details for this demo, but make sure that you enter the accurate information required. There is a privacy section here. If you select disable, so for example, when someone tries to run whois command against your domain, your contact information will be publicly available. So if you select enable, your contact information will be masked. So if someone tries to run whois command against your domain, your information will be protected. So once you enter the contact details required, just click continue. After clicking continue, it will direct you to the page to verify or review the information. And once you review the details, you can then click on pay. And that's it on how to register your new domain to Amazon Route 53. Please keep in mind that domain registration takes a couple of minutes, so I registered my domain prior to this demo. And to route the traffic to a website, your bucket name must match the name of the website that you are hosting. It is very important to remember this. So for example, if you have a domain www.quickstart-demo.com.au, you should name your bucket in S3 as www.quickstart-demo.com.au. And that's it. Okay, so now let's use Amazon Route 53 to enable customers to use your domain to navigate to your site. When you register your domain, Amazon Route 53 automatically created the hosted zone with the same name. In the list of hosted zones, choose the name of your domain. I will select www.quickstart-demo.com.au and then choose create record set, and you have to specify the values. For the name, type in the field www. For type, choose a-IPv4 address. For your alias, just select yes. For alias target, type the name of your Amazon S3 endpoint. So for example, it's this endpoint here. Or if you click on the field, it will show you the target S3 website endpoint. For routing policy, just choose simple as default. And then for evaluate target health, just accept the default value of no. Then choose create. Keep in mind that creating, changing, and deleting resource record sets take time to propagate to the Route 53 DNS servers. Changes generally propagate to all Route 53 name servers in a couple of minutes. In rare circumstances, propagation can take up to 30 minutes, so I had to create the record set prior. Let's have a look if the domain works. Let's type in www.quickstart-demo.com.au. There you go, it works. Unicorn is almost all set. He now has the content on his website up and his domain is hosted on AWS. But Unicorn has one last question. So now let's talk about CloudFront if you want to deliver the content globally. Amazon CloudFront is a web service that gives businesses and web application developers an easy and cost-effective way to distribute content with low latency and high data transfer speeds. For your static website, CloudFront can distribute the content of your static and dynamic web content such as HTML, CSS, JavaScript files, and your media content globally. CloudFront delivers your content through a worldwide network of data centers called edge locations. When a user requests content that you're serving with CloudFront, the user is routed to the edge location that provides the lowest latency so that content is delivered with the best possible performance. So for example, for the first request, it will be routed to the edge location. If the content is not in the edge location, CloudFront retrieves it from an origin that you've defined. For example, your origin is S3 bucket, where your static website content is stored. The origin will be returned to the request to the edge location. This content is now stored in the cache, so edge location will return the content to the customer. So when a user makes requests of the same content, CloudFront checks if the cache for the requested file. If the content is in the cache, the edge location returns the content directly to the customer. As a result, viewer requests travel a short distance, improving performance for your viewers. You also get increased reliability and availability because copies of your files are now held in cache in multiple edge locations around the world. The other benefits of using CloudFront is its cost-effectiveness and security. With Amazon CloudFront, you pay only for what you use. There is no minimum fee. AWS customers get particular benefit from the automatic protection at no additional charge if using CloudFront. CloudFront is secure. As part of the design of the service, CloudFront defends against most common, frequently occurring network and transport layer DDoS attacks that target your website. If you want to learn more about how to set up and configure CloudFront for your content distribution, we will share resources like step-by-step guide after the session. As I come to the conclusion of my session, I'd like to thank you for your time and attention in today's session. I hope after this session, you have a better understanding of how to host a static website on AWS. I would like to remind you to continue posting your questions on the Q&A pane of the console, where we'll take the next few minutes to respond. We will also be conducting a survey at the very end to capture your feedback so we can continue to meet your learning requirements from AWS.